Hi.
Aunt B,
Hi.
how are you?
So, uh,
How are you?
good, good. So, how about you? So, you said you're doing crappy. I
Yeah.
already asked you. So, you're in Montana, huh?
Yes, ma'am. I
Oh,
I've been through hell since I talked to you last.
I bet.
Them cops assaulted
Yeah.
the shit out of me.
What's that?
Them cops assaulted the shit out of me every time I tried to make a report to the police. Every single time they went out of their way not to. Every time I went in there with the evidence that I collected, they removed it from my person. I mean, an entire year of them doing that and protecting each other's asses is, oh my god.
Yeah. You're gonna have an attorney to do that stuff, John.
I know, but I don't have the money for an attorney. They took it all.
Yeah. I believe you. I believe you, Sean. Yeah.
That's the thing. Most people don't realize how honest I am.
Uh-huh.
So did Amanda give you permission to give me her number? Because I was getting ready to call the cops to get my stuff back.
Yeah. That's the only number I have, Sean, for her. I haven't talked to her for a long time.
I know, but
But I know the last time I called on your behalf, she said that she wanted you to call.
she did.
So it was, yeah, yeah.
All right,
That was
because
about your computer and stuff. So
yeah, I was
yeah,
there
so you
when we called last
better,
time. When I was there and we called, that was the last time that I knew. And she said they were going to send it to you, and they haven't. So
yeah. So, but yeah, hopefully she hasn't changed her number or anything. It's been
uh,
a while, you know.
I'm not really comfortable talking to her without the police, honestly. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I will give her a call, but I I really probably should call the police to get this done. I'm gonna. It's not smart for me to talk to those people, not after what they did. You know, the second day that I was up there, Lana wanted me to have sex with her. She thought it would make things better, and then when I wouldn't, because I was crying over Natalie, and she put my hand on her boob, and after that, like, you know, a lot of women get really vindictive when they feel like they've been rejected. And it's not that I was rejecting her. I mean I was, you know, I don't have any interest in Lana that way. But it was the fact that I needed somebody to talk to. I didn't need to get laid. I don't have an interest in sex. I went through that shit when
Uh-huh.
I was a kid. I don't want sex. You know,
Yeah.
all the little girls that I was in institutions with, they all got cuts all over their bodies because their daddies touched them and nobody would listen. And then when they cut themselves, they got locked up for self harm, and they're self harming because nobody would listen. And then they try to tell the staff, and the staff are like, well, we need to focus on why you're here. You're here because you tried to kill yourself. Well, maybe we should focus on why the fuck she tried to kill herself instead of cutting her off, you know?
Yeah, that's victimizing the victim.
Yeah, and it's commonplace. I mean, like you always said, you know, people who are hurt people, and I am in so much pain right now. I am trying not to throw that back at those people, but I need help, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
the biggest issue, like with the mail, like the paperwork that I was waiting for when I was there, when I finally got you to answer the door, it was already a week and a half overdue for when it was supposed to be not only turned in, but I needed to go to an appointment. And that's the problem with not being able to have a steady place where I have access to the mail, you know? And I was trying to explain
yeah,
that since day one. As soon as I was no longer at Ken and Leah's, I didn't have access. I still haven't had regular access to the mail. It's all been temporary places with people who are,
yeah.
well, who have a
Yeah,
history of
it'd
abusing me.
be nice if there was some way for you to get your own PO box and you would have a problem, you
It's
know?
not a matter of the P.O. box, it's a matter of the constant travel. I don't know where I'm going to be next week. I don't know
Yeah,
where I'm going to be tomorrow, let alone next week, let alone however long it takes for the mail to get there, you
yeah.
know?
Well,
And
we kept up with it pretty good up until I didn't know how to contact you, Sean, you know? So, yeah, I tried to find out what they did with you in jail, and I couldn't get any information, you know, because Dad is going to video call you when you were gone. So then I tried to figure out, you know, if they released you or moved you, and yeah, I couldn't get anywhere.
they told me they were going to take my report. They refused to take a report and took me to the Boulder County Jail, where I was assaulted 4 times in 4 days. They prevented me from going to court on another protection order against the Bollingers. Um,
Uh,
they have harassed me. I have evidence of all of this stuff, but I need people to come forward, and people aren't. You know, they're all too afraid to come forward. And the way that I was painted, I have to beg people to write something. And some of those people said they'd write something 9 months ago or even a year ago in a lot of cases, and they still haven't.
yeah,
Like the stuff that I was put through, there was a lady named Joanna Taylor who was going to help me, and she never did.
uh,
And for all of these people, it's a matter of they don't want to be ostracized. They don't want to be, you know, we had a lot of mutual friends in common, and a lot of those friends outright hate me. So a lot of these people are, you know, they're not
don't
coming
get
forward.
involved.
They're not talking to
Yeah,
me. And folks say, well, you don't need friends like that. Well, it's not a matter of needing friends like that. It's a matter of the fact that I need their testimony, and those fucking cowards won't come forward. I have to subpoena them, but in order to do that, I have to be able to get a court date. And now that they had court dates without me, let me explain this to you, Aunt B. You have to, if you can't go to your court date, you have to have a requisition in at least 7 days. That means it has to be there at least 7 days before you have court. They gave me court paperwork 6 days before I had court, refused me access to a lawyer, refused me access to the phone. And that's the thing, it's all about making money. If you don't have the money, they say you have access to the phones. Well, no, you don't. You don't have access to the phones. It's like saying that you have access to a car when there's no goddamn engine in it. Yeah, that's not going to do me any good. And saying, oh, yeah, I provided you with a car. Like, hell, you did. You know?
yeah,
So, I mean, this is all common sense stuff that the American public doesn't give a fuck about. You're guilty until proven innocent when you're poor. And these officers outright assaulted me, refused to take a report about the assault, and then assaulted me further for trying to make reports about the assaults against me by officers. I mean, the very first assault by officers was on January 6th by the Boulder Police Department. They pretended like I was trying to kill myself. I wasn't trying to kill myself. I was trying to get the person who had the gun that killed Natalie to come forward with it, you know?
uh,
Whether I die or not doesn't make any goddamn difference because I have nobody in my corner. A lot of people who said they would, it ended up, they couldn't answer their phone for weeks on end or even months on end. And then when they finally get back a hold of me, they treat me like shit and tell me stuff like, well, I can't be there 24/7. Well, fuck you. You haven't been there at all, you know? And I'm trying not to be pissed off at them, but that's the thing. I'm a human being. A human being should not be treated like this. There are so many people who know me, and they don't come forward. They're all too afraid of public opinion. Laura, she wants to come forward. She told me several times that she wants to come forward, but she's afraid of getting her son took. So then,
yeah,
like now, I try to contact her. She sees it. She doesn't talk to me back. I needed her to make a police report too. I mean, all of these people that I asked for help who said that they would help, and then ultimately they just couldn't because they were too afraid of the police and too afraid of public opinion. And then they say you
yeah,
shouldn't care about what other people think. Well, you know what? What other people think determines their actions. If people think you're a child molester, whether you are or not, they're going to do mean shit to you. And if you're not, You don't deserve that mean shit, but it doesn't make any goddamn difference to the American public because you were accused. And there are certain things that if you're accused of, people don't care if you're guilty or not. They just hate you. Being accused of child molestation, being accused of rape, those things will tag you worse than being charged with murder. And they painted me out to be a murderer, and then, all right, like my mom, right? Within just a few days of Natalie disappearing, I, my mom called Detective Peterson and talked to him, and the detective told her that I didn't kill anyone. But they didn't release that on the news. So for that entire time, I'm being threatened, harassed, and assaulted, and I was so pissed off at Detective Peterson. I was like, dude, why didn't you tell them that I didn't kill Natalie? He said, well, we did. We made it, public right after we caught Lopez. I'm like, dude, no, you're fucking doing the time warp now. You should have told them that when you asked me to go down there and get that information for you. I needed access to the internet and I needed to not be harassed. What you should have done is let the Boulder police know to leave me the fuck alone. You asked me to go. Well, actually, it was Rogers who asked me to go to Boulder, and they were supposed to bring me my computer the next day, the one that you bought. And they refused to allow me to have that because it was not signed off by Joseph Lopez's defense attorney. I still haven't gotten that back, and now I have 5 warrants in the state of Colorado because they arrested me and prevented me from going to all of my court dates. That whole 6-day thing, yeah, they played the system. They used every goddamn loophole that they could to prevent me from reporting on police, up to and including lying in court, lying on court documents, and refusing to take a report.
Wow.
Officer Amanda Jonas is probably the worst one. She coordinated with multiple counties out of jurisdiction to prevent me from making a report against her fellow officers who assaulted me at the Longmont Hospital for trying to make a report. The same thing that they assaulted me for when I was in the Scotts Bluff Hospital. The same thing they assaulted me for in the Boulder Hospital. Repeatedly.
You're going to be able to find the system by yourself, John.
Do what?
Doing that over and over and over.
I know. That's why I begged you and everybody else in my life to go in with me, please. But nobody had the time. Everybody was sick. Everybody had somebody who died. Everybody was changing their meds. Everybody was moving around for all this other stuff. And then when I say, hey, this is all the stuff that, people are having to go through, I'm not kidding. People are actually going through that. And then a lot of folks get pissed off like I'm blaming them. No, stating a fact is not blaming. If my tire blows on the ride to work and I call my boss and I say, hey, my tire blew, I'm going to be a few minutes late, I'm not making an excuse, I'm stating a fact. When I say, hey, such and such stole my evidence, that's not blaming them, that's stating a fact. My evidence is gone because somebody stole it.
Yeah, that's crap.
And as far as Uncle D goes, I mean, I love him, but he is a tough person to deal with. He's very heavily opinionated, and, he's never had to go through actual by himself homelessness. And he was telling me that. He's like, Sean, I was homeless, but, it was not the same as you. When I was homeless, well, you've heard those stories.
Yeah.
But, like, he never had to go without family help, you know?
Uh-huh.
And trying to explain anything to him, like a lot of the stuff that you understand and I don't even have to say, like I could explain to him 50 times and he's still going to be hard as a rock in the head about it.
Oh, I totally hear that, Sean. Yeah. He is stubborn. Or whatever. Right is right. Yeah.
Yeah.
In his eye,
Rabbit's got it that way. Rabbit's always been physically violent to get his way. I'm glad that Uncle D isn't like that. But,
oh,
right? He's big. It wouldn't take much.
No.
He could break me in half on accident, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Yeah. they called him off or something.
They called him what?
Strong as an ox,
Yeah, they did call him Ox growing up. Matter of fact, I had a couple of people tell me about Ox Dickinson. Yep. Yeah, that was in Lodgepole. Yep. So, I mean...
yeah, I think you're wise about getting places that don't pick up your stuff. You know, if she still has it, I hope so.
Me too.
You know?
Well, since she said to, told you to have me call her, I'm gonna, I'm gonna do that. You know, I do respect them enough to do as they ask first. But the last few times that I did what they asked, they did not do what it is that they said they were going to do if I did what they asked. So there is that. But at the same time, like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to call her in just a minute, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine, Sean. It was sure good to hear your voice.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I got a lot going on right now. My uncle's pretty sick. But anyhow,
I heard about Uncle George.
Another desert trip.
I heard about Uncle George.
Yeah, doggone it. So, yeah, like that. I think that's three of the brothers of the six.
Yeah,
So,
I liked Uncle Jim and Uncle George.
yeah, maybe it was two. So, but yeah. But anyhow, so.
Well, I love you, Aunt B.
I love you. Let me know how it goes.
Yes, ma'am. Let Uncle D know I love him.
I will.
And give Cinder a hug for me, okay?
Love you.
Love you. Bye.